But
Well, it's actually my turn.
but oh yeah. Well, I'll do the little run through here. But yeah, go down to told you so team of the week, Grant. Who do you have telling us where you were saying, yep, I was right?
That would be the team that my preseason MVP played for in the Cincinnati Bengals. That team
Yep.
on Sunday looked sharp. That looked like the team from last December who was humming. They that went into Arrowhead confident that they could get back to their second Super Bowl in as many years. The team was beating the Chiefs 3 of their last 4 times. And Joe Burrow just like that. He looked like that cold-blooded killer that we're used to seeing with him. It looked like that calf was healed up. He felt mobile, and they were just humming. I mean, on Sunday, Joe Burrow 28 of 32 for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns against San Francisco in that building. You know, I thought San Francisco's defense was going to put up a big fight after the last 2 road losses. You get back home in front of them crazy Niners fans. You know, you got your bye coming up in a couple weeks, and Joe Burrow went in and he was cool as a cucumber. And, you know, sure, he was sacked 3 times. You play the Niners, guess what? You're going to give up 3 to 4 sacks. It is what it is, but it didn't affect him. And then as a team, 27 rushing attempts for 134 yards. But I think more importantly, they got Joe Mixon going. 16 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown. You know, this Bengals team, they look primed. They look ready to hunt for the rest of the year. And, you know, the most underrated aspect of that team is their defense. Lou Amarillo, it's just he has them humming. He has them playing fundamentally sound. They attack the quarterback. 2 sacks, 3 turnovers on Sunday. That huge interception by, was it Pratt? When the Niners were in the end zone looking to tie the game. You know, Cincinnati, they looked like the kings of the AFC North on Sunday. And speaking of that division is going to be fun to watch the rest of the year. Baltimore's humming. Cleveland's got a good defense. Will their quarterback ever want to figure it out? Pittsburgh's offense is struggling, and they look like that 4-letter team in college, but that defense is going to keep them in games. Man, the AFC North is going to be fun, and at least for this last week, Cincinnati had me saying, I told y'all, folks, this team's for real.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned it, Joe Mixon. I think he ran for what, you said 87 yards.
87.
And I actually had them as my surprise team because of that. They actually had some balance on offense. And when Joe Burrow got out of those 2 sacks, it was like, oh, the old Burrow is back.
Looks like 2021,
you know,
Arrowhead Joe Burrow.
And credit to Zach Taylor. And we're a very bipolar Zach Taylor podcast where we love him one week and then we dump on him the next week. There's no in between. But you know, for him sitting down and realizing, hey, we don't have to put all this pressure on Joe Burrow. We have a good running game. We have on paper, we have good names on the offensive line. Let's go. Let's get them running downhill. Let's take some pressure off where they don't have to be in pass pro all the time and keep them off balance and not so one-dimensional. So if we had to give I don't know what would be a good award for coach of the week if we were to have one, but it would have to be with Zach Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, I think this week it's hard to argue that. I mean, I'm trying to think of any other coach. Maybe you mentioned Sean Payton in Denver, but it was more or less just the self-inflicted wounds that Kansas City did to themselves, you know, that day. You know, the Eagles weren't. You could give it, if there was a award for one quarter, you could give it to Kevin O'Connell for keeping the Vikings balanced in the 4th after the Kirk injury.
Okay. Can we can talk about this? Did you find yourself yelling at the TV a few times watching that game because of the amount of times you were having Jaron Hall drop back and throw the ball while they were up 2 possessions?
You know, honestly, dude, I think just KOC was trying to give his young quarterback some confidence, knowing that, and also he knew how inept that Green Bay offense was. So he's saying this. He's like, okay, you know what? Let's get him some confidence going here in the next week in Atlanta. Let's get him some drop backs against, you know, a good defense there in Green Bay. See some live bullets. And we know, you know what? Hey, if something happens, this Green Bay offense is inept, and they're not going to score. So I think that was just KOC trying to just give his young quarterback a little confidence.
And he delivered. He delivered on some huge third downs.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get the first down, but they were able to complete a pass that got them out of their own end zone where it wasn't the punter didn't have to punt from with his heels on the whites.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know what this season's going to bring. We talked about it a little bit in the group chat. I liked them trading for Dobbs. He plays hard. He's a smart guy. And he's going to be playing with a better coach, a better offensive line, better weapons on the outside, TJ Hawkinson. And the offensive line and the running game has seemed to have somewhat of a pulse
coming around
with the addition of Cam Akers. So this season isn't completely lost. You wish all the best for Kirk Cousins because he was playing at an MVP level, and just sucks that his season had to end this way. And hopefully that is not the last time he is in a we see him in a Vikings uniform, because I think there is a pretty good argument to be made that he might, well, especially of our generation, he's the greatest Vikings quarterback and might be the greatest Vikings quarterback ever. He's up there with Fran Tarkenton. Neither of them won a Super Bowl while playing for Minnesota, but I think you have to have him in the conversation, especially because of durability, longevity. They haven't seen that since Fran Tarkenton was the quarterback, and that was when our parents were kids, younger than us right now at this point.
That was 50 years ago.
60
years ago. Yeah, that's crazy.
But my told you so team of the week here is going to be, we're going up to the Pacific Northwest. Now, I thought Seattle was going to jump out to a hot start. I like the way their schedule set up. I thought the 49ers were going to kind of come out with a little bit of a sluggish start, hangover from the NFC Championship game. There were questions about Brock Purdy with his health. And I had questions about Brock Purdy myself, which are still out there, and people are kind of coming to the light of, what's it like with his back against the wall when it becomes a drop back pass game, and he has not looked great in those moments. But Seattle, they've quietly just kind of kept winning games, playing really good, complementary, fundamentally sound football. They escaped the Browns, which is going to be a problem. They're going to ruin some teams' seasons or cost the team some playoff opportunities, even with or without Deshaun Watson. And frankly, money wise aside, you almost want to stick with PJ Walker because the offense looks a lot better than what it did under Deshaun Watson.
Well, it looks like the offense Kevin Stefanski wants to run.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a quarterback is pissed off that he has to play under center and he wants to do a power running game. I think Kevin feels a little more free calling plays, knowing that he's got a quarterback on his side.
Yep, and they've just, like I said, they've quietly just held steady, and now look at them now. They are first in the NFC West.
That they are.